I'd much rather make a deal, a really verified deal. We want total verification. We can do that. We have some very brilliant people up at MIT and various other places. We can do that very, very solidly. But I would much prefer a strong verified deal where we actually blow them up, but blow them up or just denuke them. But there are only two alternatives there: blow them up nicely or blow them up viciously. And
there's no half measure. That's what I wrote for the Washington Examiner today.
You got to get them out. Can't do it.
Isn't the U.S. position that Iran can have an enrichment program as long as it doesn't reach a weapons?
We haven't made that decision yet. We will, but we haven't made that decision yet.
Well, I think Trump knows exactly what he has to do here to get a deal. And he has to basically go back to some form of the JCPOA, the agreement that he walked away from. The real issue on the table here is nuclear enrichment and reprocessing. The Iranians have an enrichment and reprocessing capability, and indeed they're enriching uranium up to 60%. And from an Israeli point of view and from an American point of view, this is unacceptable. What happened with the JCPOA, which was negotiated in 2015, is there were severe limits put on Iran's ability to enrich uranium, but they were allowed to keep their enrichment and reprocessing capability. It's very important to understand that. And that's, I believe, the principal reason that Trump, with support from the Israelis, walked away from the JCPOA in 2018. So the question here is whether Trump is going to backtrack and allow Iran to keep its enrichment and reprocessing capability. That's the issue, and that's the question he was asked. And the fact that he did not give a clear answer tells me that there is a good chance, I don't want to overstate the case here, but there's a good chance that he's going to accept the fact that they keep their enrichment and reprocessing capability.
Well, based on what he said prior to that, it seems like that's his only choice. Either go back to some variation of the JCPOA. And by the way, I've already seen many of his ardent supporters emphatically tell him, don't do that, because you'll be an Obama light, etc. So he's coming under pressure on his side. Or he does what he said in the first part, was, well, we'll either blow it up the easy way or we'll blow it up the hard way. So he seems to have boxed himself into a negotiating position to where either you do something like Obama did in 2015 or you go to war. Do you see any other alternative?
Well, the other alternative is he can just maintain the status quo, which is you don't bomb Iran.
But see, he said it's one or the other. So that's a third one that he didn't say. So how would he walk out of that one?
Danny, this guy says something different every day.
All right, good point.
Come on, it would be no problem for him to just change his tune tomorrow. Well, and that's why we don't want to put too much stock in what he said today, because it could be the case that after you and I get off the air and we look at what's on the news sites, we discover that he contradicted what we just said or what he said previously. He's just all over the place. But look, I think that he understands that from his point of view and from the Israelis' point of view, we either have to get a deal or we're going to bomb Iran. So I think basically those are the two choices that he sees. And he does not want to bomb Iran. To be blunt, he would be nuts to bomb Iran. It would be a major league air offensive against Iran. And it would have huge consequences in the region and may have huge consequences, all negative, for the international economy. He just doesn't want to do that. So what he'd like to do is work out a deal. You used the phrase JCPOA light. I don't think that's what they are going to push for. I think that they will push for a more sophisticated version of the JCPOA, one that is more demanding of the Iranians. And I think the issue here is the sunset clauses. One of the other problems with the JCPOA, in addition to the fact that it allowed Iran to keep its enrichment and reprocessing capability, is the fact that it had sunset clauses. It was going to run out. I think if the Trump administration can get a long-lasting deal and seriously commit the United States to that deal, you'll get the Iranians to sign on. And even though they will keep their reprocessing and enrichment capability, they won't be able to go down the nuclear weapons road. And we could then live happily ever after. So I think you could fashion a JCPOA agreement that works. But as you pointed out, that will not be easy to sell because the Israelis and all of their acolytes here in the United States will be adamantly opposed to that deal.